Hello and welcome to another video in this series about the basics of Fantasy Grounds Unity. This is part two of our look at the campaign options. And in the last video we broke off towards the end of the combat section of options, and there's just another couple that I wanted to look at here, the skip dead non-ally and skip hidden actor. And essentially they do exactly what you would expect them to do. Normally when you cycle through the combat tracker, it cycles through and stops at every creature that you see on the combat tracker. But if we give this character sufficient wounds to kill it, and we make this one invisible, and then we switch both of these on, then you'll see that when I press next actor here, we skip from fingers to the unidentified creature 8, because unidentified creature 2 is dead, so therefore we've skipped the dead non-ally. An unidentified creature 3 is not visible to the players, so therefore we have skipped past that. So this is another thing to speed up combat on the one hand. If you want to leave dead bodies around as difficult terrain or whatever, and also if you have creatures on the map or on the combat tracker which the player characters haven't yet discovered, then you want to keep them invisible. You don't want the combat tracker stopping at invisible creatures and perhaps giving the player characters more information than they should know. So let's look at the next section then, and the first half dozen here are all about showing various things on the tokens that are on the map. So if we get this map up here, we've already placed the characters and the NPCs, and if we zoom in, we'll just make this one undead again and make this one visible. If we zoom in on these NPCs here, we can see these little dots there showing that they are healthy, and that's because we've got the token show health as a dot. We can cycle through these. We can say like dot on hover, so again they will be invisible, or these little dots will be invisible until we hover over each token. Or we can have it off altogether so that we don't see any dot or any kind of indication of health, or we can have it as a bar or as a bar hover. And this is all of these are pretty much the same kind of thing. It just shows different things that the players might see or the GM might see, depending on which options you have set here. It will depend on what the players will see and what the GM sees. So if you have token player show ally effects on, for example, then each player will be able to see the health of other player characters, etc., etc. So these all pretty much do the same kind of thing. And the show effects, that just shows the effects on the token as well. So if we were to, let's say, put a token or put an effect onto this unidentified creature 8, you can see that a little charmed icon has appeared on the creature. And again, we can use these, we can have it visible on hover, or we can have it as a little mark, or we can have it as a mark hover, or we can switch them off altogether. So again, these are all options which can give the player more or less information about other player characters and about enemy tokens on the map, and it kind of goes with the way that you want to set up your combat tracker. Obviously, if you want don't want the players to see the health on the combat tracker, then make sure you've also set the option that they can't see the health by either mousing over or just viewing the enemy tokens. Let's move on a little bit then, and we've also got the token facing indicator here, which is off. Because the 5e rule set in particular has no thing about facing, but if you're playing a rule set which does have a facing, then you can turn that on, and a little yellow arrow will appear showing what the the direction that the creature's facing. If you want them to be facing a different direction, then just use the shift key with the middle mouse wheel and just rotate the wheel to show that the creature is facing in that particular direction. Now the next two we'll maybe talk about in another video, and in the last one in this section is the token show name. And if you have this set to title, then you can see that a little name has appeared above each token. If we look at the player characters here, you can see that they've, let's switch off the facing indicator, you can see that their names have appeared on top of the icon. So you can set this to various things like title hover, very similar to the health icon. You can have it off or you can have it as a tooltip. So you mouse over it, you'll see that the tooltip pops up. That's the token show name, and that works for the NPCs as well. You can see we've got the name popping up when we mouse over it. The last section is all to do with house rules. You can have attack, fumble, and critical. I think this only works with the 5e rule set. But if you switch that on and then enable the fumble and critical module, which comes with Fantasy Grounds, then when a creature makes a fumble or rolls a 1 or a 20, a crit on the dice, then you will be able to roll on a table for various things. The auto death rolls. So if a character, this is on by default, but if a character is dead, like if Smasher here has got enough hit points to cause him to become unconscious, when we get to him in the combat tracker, then it automatically makes a death saving throw for him. If you don't want that to be automated, then switch that off, and Smasher then has to make his own death saving throw. So that's just an option as to whether or not you want to automate or not death saving throws. The combat NPC hit points. When we place a creature on the combat tracker, then if we have that option set to standard, then it will add the number of hit points into the creature that it says on the NPC sheet. If you don't want that, you can have it as max. So if we put this character onto the NPC sheet, then you see that it's now got 33, which would be 3d8 plus 9, so that's maximum hit points. Or you can set it to random. So if we put this creature on the combat tracker, then this one has come up with 19 hit points. Basically, it's rolled the 3d8 plus 9 and it's come up to the result. So three options there, standard, maximum or random, and you can set that to whatever you want. The combat roll initiative each round is automated to off, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. If you switch this on, then when it comes to the end of the combat round, initiative will be re-rolled and everybody will be reformatted in the combat tracker with their new initiative. The massive system shock option is either off, well, it's off by default, or you can switch that on. You can see what this does in the Dungeon Master's Guide. It's an optional rule, which if a creature takes a certain amount of hit points, then they have to roll on a table to see what additional effect that might have. It does that automatically for you if you switch that option on. And then the map diagonal distance, this defaults to the standard, but you can have that to 1x, 1.5x, or rules as written. And that just basically means that it depends on the rule set that you're using, really, as to what the sort of default diagonal distance rules are for the particular rule set you're using. You can also use the currency weight that we showed you the currency in a previous video. You can have this on or off. So if it's on, then currency weight is taken into consideration when calculating the encumbrance of a character. If you've got it off, then it isn't. And you have got an option here for attunement slots. The rules as written as 3. You can change that to 3, 4, or 5, or bonus proficiency, or 2, or whatever you want. You can set your attunement slots to a different amount. That's just simply a house rule. 3 is the standard. And then there is Encumbrance, which is the standard, or you can have the variant. Again, look up the Dungeon Master's Guide to see what the variant rules are. Fantasy Grounds follows that variant rule. And then there are healing variants as well, which are built into the rule set. It's set to standard by default, but you can use healing surges or slow natural healing. And again, the rules for all of that are in the Dungeon Master's Guide if you want to look them up. And the final option is the inspiration slots, which standard is 1, but you can set these to 2 or 3 if you so prefer. So I think that's it for all of the options, and we will go on to something else in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers for now.